1, we're going into item number A2, which is the 2015 CSDA Delegate Assembly election. Do I hear a motion?
Well, Lila Can has been an outstanding board member for many years, and she would be a great rep. So I'd like to make a motion that we vote for Lila.
Second that motion.
There's a motion on the floor for item A2, and a second, Mr. Foster, and a second by Ms. Barnes. Any discussion on the item? Say none. All those in favor? Aye. 5-0. Personnel. We skipped the curriculum at this point. We're going to do a little rest. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. I'm ready to address Personnel 1, and this is the Behavioral Intervention Specialist job description that we brought to the board for information, and we're bringing it back to you for action.
You've received it 3 times.
No, it only seems like the 3rd time. It's only the 2nd time. Move approval.
There's approved by Ms. Barnes. Motion second. Second. Who said that? Mr. Laris. Any discussion on the motion? Okay. As recommended, moved and second. All those in favor? Aye. And 5-0. Next item, it will be a resolution. 14-15.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. This is the resolution for non-rehire, non-reelect. This is necessary in order to notify those teachers that we will not be having return next year.
I motion to approve resolution 2014/15-10 to authorize notice of non-reemployment, non-reelect of temporary and probationary certificated employees.
Second. So moved. Larson, second. This
is a roll call. So, Mr. Garcia?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Kim?
Aye.
Larissa?
Aye.
Ms. Barnes?
Aye.
Okay, 5-0.
Next items on the business. Mr. Stratton, excuse me.
Ready and willing, Mr. President.
See, that's what military people do. Each other, give each other a pause.
This next item, if I may, is the National Steinbeck Center request for tax forgiveness. It's an action item this evening. We've had it before as an action item, and we approved a resolution moving forward. And just to briefly remind you, we're forgiving $126,397 in debt to make this deal go through with Cal State Monterey Bay buying the Steinbeck Center and then moving it back and creating a 4-year university outlet in Salinas. The first resolution needed some tweaking after it went forward to the state. We have basically the same decision to make. The money we forgive, we get in additional revenue limit dollars from the state. So the balance between our local tax revenue and the revenue limit dollars from the state equals the same whether we approve or disapprove of this. Therefore, I strongly recommend that we approve this new resolution to allow them to move forward with this purchase and keep the Steinbeck Center open for the community. I do have with me tonight, visiting our board meeting, and they put up with several hours now of listening to folks. I have Elizabeth Weldon-Smith and Eric Mora from the Steinbeck Center, and they would gladly entertain any questions you might have, and if you don't have any, I think we're pretty close to voting. If you'd like me to read the resolution, I will. We cut out a couple of whereases and therefores, and it's ready for a vote. Do you have any special comments you'd like to make, Elizabeth?
Just very briefly, I want to thank you for again considering this resolution change and taking this into consideration. So thank you so much for having us here tonight and considering this.
Thank you. Next, the gentleman.
Oh, Eric is actually our new development associate, and he was, if you have time, going to just share some information about how the National Steinbeck Center is relevant to your constituency.
Just
Just wanted to make sure.
You can move that.
Move acceptance
There's a motion.
of resolution 2014-15-9, National Steinbeck Center request for tax.
We'll get a second.
Second.
Still second.
It's a roll call resolution.
All those,
Okay, Mr. Garcia,
yes.
Mr. Hoffman,
Yes.
Mr. Kim,
Aye.
Mr. Larson,
Aye.
Ms. Barnes.
Aye.
The resolution passed 5-0.
Yeah, you got it.
Thank you very much. We made the correct decision. I know the paperwork's frustrating with the state coming back and saying change two whereases, but it's the right thing for this city and for our district.
So finally, we may have a university in Salinas.
Airborne.
The first city in this county to have that. Thank you. Okay, next item.
Yes, the next item is also an action item, if I may. The subject is the EPA Education Protection Account spending plans. And basically, we received Prop 30 money. The Prop 30 money is required to be stated in terms of where it goes. The priorities are for salaries. It's $9.729 million. And we take that money and focus it 100% into certificated or teacher salaries every year. That gives us full compliance and no issues. So we would ask that you approve the spending plan for this year, which is to continue to take all that money and move it into teacher salaries. I would tell you that that money is about to be lowered and then go away, and that's going to create a huge hole in our out-year budgets. The goal of the governor, of course, is to implement enough of the LCFF that it will offset that. That is truly debatable, and there is some discussion in Sacramento about extending that Prop 30, but the governor has not been supportive of that. But today the issue is to confirm the spending plan to spend $9.729 million in teacher salaries in the current budget.
Okay. Anybody have any comments? I so moved that the plan that's before us right now, item D2, Education Protection Account, plans. I make a motion that we second. And there's a second on the floor. Yeah, Mr. Larson. Any discussion? Say none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 5-0.
Thank you.
Okay, these are next are informational items. Number one is under administration, which is updated human resource director job description. Okay, we're all working on this one. Everything.
All right, well, there's finally going to be a job title change, I hope. Okay.
No,
Bring to you,
recommendation.
I know, it is fine. I bring to you tonight an updated job description for, hopefully with the job title change, Director of Human Resources. The duties that are listed in the job description are pretty much standard for what Director or Administrator of Human Resources does. The requirements and the desirable requirements have been changed and added to. And other than that, it's pretty straightforward in terms of the responsibilities of this position.
Your suggestion?
My suggestion is that the board direct us to bring it back for action.
It's an informational item.
So done, so directed. Dr. Lucia, would you make sure that gets done?
You will have it here next time for action.
Yes, sir, thank you.
Any other items?
I do have one other item, and that has to do with the school calendar. And the state of California, in all its wisdom in collective bargaining, has said that the calendar is negotiable. And it's negotiable with all of our bargaining units. So we have one calendar, but we have 2 units to negotiate with. Several years ago, We've had a mutual agreement between SCTC and CSEA, and CSEA was gracious enough to say, let's let the teachers have the first crack at negotiating a calendar and then bring it back to our members. There are, in the SCTC contract, it speaks to work days, instructional days, and staff development days. Whereas in CSEA's contract, it basically talks about the work year for employees. So we're kind of dealing with apples and oranges when we look at the calendars for the two bargaining units. So what happened this year is we made a proposed calendar to SCTC. SCTC came back with a counter, made some changes back to them. They came back with another counter, and the calendar that you have in your board packet is what was agreed to with SCTC. The next thing that we do is we share that calendar with CSEA. CSEA takes that to its membership. Its membership did not approve this calendar. So I want to share with you tonight the issue, and I will ask Rosie to add to this if you need to. But it's my understanding that the issue that CSEA membership did not like was the fact that in February there will be only one holiday. For past several years we've had 2 holidays in February. So this year, in order to have one staff development day prior to the start of school, 1 work day, and then start school on Wednesday, we, SCTC proposed to have only 1 holiday in February so that the last school day is a Friday in June. Otherwise, we would need to come back and have Monday as our last instructional day, which did not seem to make much sense. I'm going through this long explanation because actually I do have a recommendation to the board. 12-month classified employees are either 10-month or 12-month. 10-month employees are paid for their holidays. 12-month employees actually have those days off. So whether or not we have a holiday or 2 holidays in February, or we have an additional holiday in either November or December, 10-month employees will get the same amount of paid holidays. It was our proposal to CSEA that 12-month employees would have either the day before our Thanksgiving break or the day before Christmas Eve as a holiday substituting for that second holiday in February. It is my recommendation to the board, looking at all of the factors and looking at how our education and our program would be impacted. It is my recommendation that you direct us to bring this calendar back to you for action as it is proposed. Ultimately, it's the board's decision. I want you to know that CSEA's membership did not approve this, but in looking at what the options are, I feel that this is, our recommendation is that at the next board meeting you would approve this calendar. It would then, CSEA would then have their 12-month members vote for where they want to have the holiday that would replace that second holiday in February.
Comments? Thank you very much.
I would just like to share that we did take the calendar to the membership as we normally do for a vote, and with the proposal that Pat had suggested, which to our surprise, it was a unanimous vote. No, they would like to continue as they have and for the past many, many years to continue to have the 2 Mondays off. And in the voting, it was not only 10-month employees, it was also 12-month employees that voted at that meeting. So it's just, I know that ultimately the decision is yours, but just for your information, that all of the members voted no on this calendar. Thank you.
Anything from teachers? Anything from teachers' point of view? Association.
Just that, although I like, we just had 2-3 day weekends, and I think most of us like it too. The only problem was that we would then end, as Mrs. Willingham had said, we would end school on a Monday. The students' last day of school would be a Monday, and that's just not doable. I mean, it doesn't make sense. So that was a big part of the reason that we went with the calendar as it stands. So our last week of school would be 4 days because there's our holidays, that's May 30th, and then we'd be done on Friday. So that was why we went with this.
So, this is informational, and you'll be working on this project?
It is for information, but unless you direct me to go back and bring a different calendar to you, my recommendation is at this time that you would direct us to bring it back as is.
Okay, Mr. Kim?
How did it work out that they lost a holiday in February? I mean, where did it go?
The holiday in February.
Is there another day, a holiday and a break, or something or other?
We've always celebrated 2 president holidays. We've had that for many, many years.
In the classified contract, it lists the number of holidays. The holiday, but in the certificate, this is part of the issue. Classified has a certain number of holidays in their contract. Certificated works on a positive instructional calendar. So, okay, so for the instructional days, we have to have 180, and then we need to have 3 staff development days for certificated and 1 work day. So if we adjusted the calendars so that we could completely rework the calendar and go back to draft A or B, which had like 2 staff development days at the beginning of the school year, and then the work day, and then you extend the year. You plug in those 2 holidays and you extend the number of instructional days, and it goes longer in June.
So do they have the requisite number of holidays?
They have the right number of holidays because 12-month employees will get either November the 25th or December the 23rd. So that's how they're moving. The February date is going to either go to November or December. And they are going to be able to vote on which one they want. So for 12-month employees, they're going to get a little more time off either prior to Thanksgiving or prior to Christmas. 1 day. Sorry, I know that was...
Well, to be honest, Liz, this is a really big deal.
Yeah, the pay is the same. I mean, and they're to support people.
You know, the days are getting shorter and the work is getting longer. And my point is that take it back, make sure everybody's copacetic, make sure it works. And I haven't heard anything from the administration about their calendar, even though they have extra hours during the year, or days. That's completely different. I know that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to mix it up.
Okay, thank you.
Just know that they have a schedule. Sometimes
I think that the critical thing is that we have the right number of instructional days. Classified employees would not lose any pay. They would not lose any holiday pay, and 12-month employees would not lose any holidays.
Ms. Barnes?
it's so unfortunate that it's on the backs of the teachers, because Monday would be ridiculous for school to end on. So I don't know. It's too bad we couldn't have had a day when it was a teacher work day that was everybody was gone and classified could have that day off or something. It's too bad that it doesn't sound like there's any other option.
Right. Well, and see, actually, that's what's going to happen in either November or December, because teachers are off those days. There's no school those days. So.
And there's no other day that they can negotiate except those 2 days.
Actually, we looked at that, and I think that those were the 2 days that seemed to really be make the most sense, and people would enjoy having those days off.
Okay, thank you.
One of those days off.
Well, I'd like to see this calendar back next time, because it really doesn't make sense to end school on Monday.
It doesn't support that.
Doesn't make sense at all.
It's not. That's not what she's proposing.
I just made a comment about Saturdays, because, those would be working days too. I'm not gonna get into the field. I'm out of it. There's a motion? Did you make a motion, or to accept?
This is information, and I'd like to
Well,
see this
so
back next time.
done.
Come back next time.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't want to make a big thing out of this yet, but it is important. Okay, Goronda Meadows is going to present itself on the 15 stars it just got awarded with. And thank you for being a hostess at your school when it came to the in-service of administration. Thank you. I don't know what the title is.
Each side has 3-minute presentation. Thank you, Ms. Mancera.
That was negotiated.
Good evening, very late evening to everybody, board members, Dr. Lisa, superintendent, and audience. Thank you for sticking around. This up, it's okay. So I'm Susana Mancera. I'm the principal at Goronda Meadows Elementary School, and this is a pointer, but on to the next slide. So where do we go here?
To the power button on the left.
There we go. Oh, there we go. So I'm presenting on our most current SELT information. Can you hear me this way? Don't have to. Stand over here. So we had 496 students self-test, and of those 496, 428 were counted for AMAO purposes. We did not meet our AMAO goals, and AMAO 1 has to do with 1 proficiency level growth annually, and AMAO 2 has to do with state designated percentage of students. So they set a specific percentage, and the expectation is that we meet that percentage, and if we don't meet it, then that means we don't meet AMAO 2. Here's a table that shows and captures how each of our grade levels did. The state expectation for AMAO 1 was 60.5%. We had 2 of our grade levels who met that percentage, with kinder being 100%, the 2 children who counted for AMAO 1, and then most likely these children were retained. For first grade, we had 69%, who well exceeded the 60.5%. Second grade, 10.5%, and third, 22%, fourth grade, 35.8%, and fifth and sixth grade, I mean, you can barely make out fifth grade, but the reason they're in green, it's forest green color, is because they did show an increase, a percentage increase from previous school year to this school year. So both fifth and sixth grade. As for the AMAO 2, which is number of students reaching proficient and advanced, we had 1 grade level who met the state percentage, which is 24.2%, and that was 5th grade, so obviously there's work to do around the Meadows. And our data statements, 167 students grew 1 SELT level or more. First grade met AMAO 1, 5th grade met AMAO 2, and 67% of first graders grew 1 SELT level or more. And 5th grade increased percent of students meeting AMAO 1, and then 6th grade increased percent of students meeting AMAO 1 as well. And areas for growth or grow-ons, 261 students either show no growth or drop the CELT level, and not sufficient students are growing 1 CELT level annually. And only 61 students are at the proficient or advanced level. Systematic and consistent. This has to do with professional development and instructional strategies that we need to make sure that we're implementing consistently. About that, it's something that's been one of the things that we are proposing at Veranda Meadows as a teacher coach. We've talked about doing with technology dialogue about to provide ongoing support to teaching staff around these areas here. Clear lesson objectives, aligned assessments, collaborative conversations, and use of specific lab strategies, text-based questions, and close reading strategies. Written language frames for all content areas, and maximizing student oral written practice and use of complete sentences at all times, and as well as front-loading key academic and content vocabulary. And here I have our interventions, what has been put in place actually this school year, effective this school year, and we have an intensive intervention program or systems in place for K1, actually it's K through 6th grade, and this is beyond, outside the core. So we do have K1 ILF folders, IAs, working with our little guys, and for 2nd grade we have IAs working in phonics for reading, which address the foundational literacy skills. We also have, within 1st and 2nd grade, Imagine Learning, which is a web-based program, or actually we bought the licenses. And it addresses vocabulary development and foundational literacy skills for our 2nd language learners. And for the upper grades, these are it. We have gateways for 3rd and 4th grade. 5th grade, we have corrective reading. And 2nd through 6th grade, we did have a CELT Academy. However, it did initiate, so basically the testers who were doing the CELT testing were ahead of us, so to speak. So maybe we can speak to the coordinators of our CELT testers and see if somehow we can start our academy. Give us some time to run our academy before our students are tested. And any questions?
Yeah, there's a call for questions. Do you have any questions?
Any questions?
I want to thank you. There is a question here.
Okay.
Could you define AMA so that those who don't know the acronyms for AMA?
AMAOs, annual measurable outcome,
Achievement
outcomes. Objectives, annual measurable.
I typed it because I knew they'd ask, so I just
objectives.
Sorry, that's why we shouldn't have gone alphabetically.
Yeah, we're going to get Mission Park right now.
Okay. Mission Park, Jennifer Sanso, principal.
Thank you.
I'm back. Okay, so I'm going to go really fast through the first 2 slides because I think you know that we have much fewer English learners at Mission Park than at some schools in the district. So we had 109 English learners who took the CELT this fall. Of those, only 84 were annual scores. So the other ones were either in kindergarten or initials, or a few students who may not have had scores from previous years. There's your acronym, Annual Measurable Achievement Objectives. We also did not make our AMAOs, and the reason there's a star on my side and not on yours is because I am somewhat impatient. Perhaps you've noticed that. So when I went in to print my AMAO results, I didn't realize that the graphs were still pending. And so on your second 2 bullets, the top bullet is correct. AMAO 1 we didn't make. AMAO 2, where your data on your board packet says 24 point something, we actually missed. It was 23.1%. And AMAO 2 for students with greater than 5 years, where it didn't have a graph at all the day that I printed it for you, we're now up to 35.7% students who have achieved English proficiency. And although it's not in your slides, I do know for a fact, because we have fewer students, I can tell you that in 6th grade, 3 out of 6 students did attain English proficiency. So we're right at 50%, close to the target. But 5th grade, they're still a little bit struggling, and that's common with English learners. So this is where I wanted to show you that we do in fact know exactly who these students are. When we get this graph from the ORS program that Virginia has helpfully taught us all how to use, we can click, and when I click on this number, the biggest number that concerned me was, why are there 24 students in the red that did not make it out of intermediate? It is a common thing. I've worked with a lot of English learners. But those 24 students, I know by name. I'm not going to put them up here tonight. But we looked at who they are. And the majority of our non-progressors, the good news is this year, because of the district helping us with so many interventions, we do have most of them in second, third, or fourth grade reading intervention groups. Most of them, the reason they're not progressing is because they are still struggling with reading. So we have phonics for reading in second grade, we have System 44 for third grade, and we have Read 180 for fourth grade, and they're in it now. The test scores came in October before they were in them, or before they'd been there long. We also have some additional ELD intervention groups that we started this year. We had some Imagine Learning licenses last year, but they weren't fully utilized, and this year we are using our Imagine Learning licenses, and we are using another program called Language for Learning with students who need intensive ELD. We have much stronger GLAD implementation this year. We have 4 GLAD teachers at our school. We feel blessed, and it's happening a lot, that they're getting extra ELD through their core curriculum. And we also have kindergarten aides. The kindergartners did, in fact, make all the 1 level or more of growth that they needed, so we know that's effective. Our science lab exposes the students to more academic vocabulary, and this year we started a homework club, which has made our English learner parents very happy. So, what's our plan to do anything new for next year now that we've seen the results? We do want to keep targeting our English learner students through the GLAD program, through RALI, which stands for Results, Academic, Language, and Literacy Instruction. It's another way of delivering core content, very sheltered for the English learners, and we have a lot of people doing the math grant, which really helps the kids talk and think. We want to continue ELD instruction in sports, such as the Imagine Learning, Language for Learning, and we hope that our intermediates can get into the Language for Writing. And then we want to continue everything we currently have, but add more. So, we are in the middle of starting. We're in the middle of starting. That's not accurate. We are currently doing our Title I needs assessment and planning. The teachers have started a chart brainstorming what they want. I've gone to the ELAC committee and the site council to tell them we need to start determining how we want to use our Title I funds next year, and then we'll send a survey out to all parents and all teachers. We know for sure we want more professional learning community time. We want release time. And we will focus on ELD and our English learners. One thing that we've already been discussing at different grade level meetings is how to implement school-wide language frames and scaffolds, because we didn't used to have as many students getting stuck in intermediate, and we know we can do some advanced structures such as, if this were to happen, then such and such would happen. And we want to, in addition to the homework after school club, we would like to try extended day language enrichment. We don't like pulling students out for ELD if it means they miss something else, so we think that we could maybe take advantage of some of the systematic ELD kits that are out there and do a very strong after school program now that we have more funding. We also don't want to let the RFEPs fall through the cracks. RFEP stands for a Redesignated Fluent English Student, and they are still considered English learners. And when I went to Washington Middle School, it was very impressive how much they are tracking the English learners and trying to support them there. So we want to make sure we're doing things such as accelerated reader, the spelling bee, the mathletics. We want to really utilize online programs such as SumDog, Khan Academy, Study Jams, things where the students can self-pace. We have a lot of enrichment students, and we want them to be using the technology. And then we're really lucky because we currently have students doing interclass leveling. They just know a student is gifted and talented. They send them out to another class to do advanced level math or science, as the case may be. And then the last slide, it is so not accurate. Mr. Henry, be careful here. These numbers are not real numbers, and I'm not reporting them to the state. Because when we do our plan for the future, we always try and estimate how we're going to spend the money. These were roughly this year's numbers. We really had $79,000 in supplemental and concentration. But I just rounded it for approximately what we had this year and how we divided out. We have $30,000 roughly in the general fund, and we try to use it for staff development, release time, substitutes, and a lot of instructional materials. The supplemental and concentration money is what pays for all of the aids that we're reducing adult-child ratios, release time, field trips, after-school programs, and lots of materials. Title I, we cannot plan it until we continue doing that needs survey. And then PTA, I'm sorry, the black doesn't show there, but I hope it came out on your copy. PTA currently funds the science lab aid, the art teacher, field trips, and many materials. But as we do our Title I assessment, they may shift their focus. So we're just telling you this is maybe where we're going. And then on the slide you don't have, I just wanted to show you that these are our students at the Lyceum Spelling Bee. And this little boy was reclassified 2 years ago and came 5th in the county. He tied for 5th. Wow. He's an amazing student. And in the slide to the right, the mummy activity, these are the kinds of hands-on enrichment that I think all of our English learners need. This boy is one of the ones who's stuck. I won't tell you which number he was stuck at. But we know that the more we can provide exciting, enriching lessons, the more they'll progress. Questions?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I was lucky enough to see the mummy, the mummy presentation. Thank you for doing something for the above average kids. I never hear that. It doesn't mean that all of you aren't doing it, but you're the first one who's actually come up and told us what's going for them. And I feel very strongly that without a GATE program, we got to be doing this. It's just not right, and it's not fair to the above average kids as well. So thank you for that, and for studying your AMAO data and seeing where the problems are and then going forward and trying to find a resolution. Thank you.
Any more questions?
Comments?
Okay.
Thank you very much.
To the right arrow.
Yes, sir. Your name, please.
Good evening, board and Dr. Musa. My name is Daniel. I'm the principal at University Park. I want to first off apologize a little bit in regards to what we were presenting. We didn't really focus as much on ourselves, and part of the reason why I would go into it is it was a mixed bag in terms of results. We did not reach our AMAO goals. However, I want to say what was nice is that our students that were redesignated as English proficient did not regress back. So that means that the criteria that's been put into place in redesignating students, our standards are high enough that it isn't just moving them out of there. Okay. The other thing that what we also noticed was that when we looked at our 1s and 2, our beginners and early intermediates, it's a heavy load in our kinders, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. But what was really wonderful to see is that we had less than 10 in our 4th through 6th. Okay. The amount of students that we have tested for the CELT this past year was 181. 5 years ago, it was half of that. Our CELT proficiency level of who reached the goal was almost at 50%. So we had an increase of about 5% from last year. We haven't had this number in about 5 years. 2010 was the last time we had anywhere near. Okay, and that was when we only had 91 students. Now, the reason why we're looking at that is that our academics, our social, culture, climate, parent involvement, that's also changed as well too. With the focus in terms of the academics, Ms. Zanza and Ms. Spencer were talking a little bit about, and Ms. Barnes, you were talking about enrichment and stuff like that. What's been nice is that our teachers, particularly in the upper grades, have started to incorporate more in the use of, I would say, the collaborative use. For example, in terms of our core studies, they're doing more novel studies, so which is really getting the children, even our second language learners, more of that rich vocabulary that's needed, along with providing our gateways intervention, which giving those students who are struggling that added structure. So hopefully, our intermediate kids who are stuck, we're able to push them forward as well too. In our lower grades, particularly in our first and second grade, the use of Imagine Learning, hopefully that will help boost the language for our students as well too. Okay, so we have a variety of instructional programs that we have looked at. You know, and honestly, things like System 44 have really been supportive in giving those children who lack those language and lack of phonemic awareness components as well too. Okay, all right. So how do you move this? In terms of school culture, we've looked at a lot of it too as we moved on to doing our PBIS and Restore Justice. I think that's helped a lot with our kids. It's helped a lot, particularly with our parents too. They're starting to understand that we are not always looking at throwing the book at them, I guess is the best way to do it. You know, when we're having conversation with the parents, they're more willing to listen and have that conversation. I don't hear parents when I call them the first thing this year, I don't hear them say, do you want me to pick up my child? It's like, no, we're having a conversation. We're, you know, informing you of the situation, what's going on. And I think that's building that, what was it, the book that we were currently reading, talking about doing no harm. And I think that's been very important as well too. Yeah. The other thing is again, you know, I apologize in terms of what our school's current attendance is during, but it is not good. But we are still very diligent regarding the truancy aspect of it, as well as doing our student recognition. I think that's the other added part, is that kids enjoy being recognized, whether it's here at the boardroom, it's in the classroom, or you know, in front of the school. In terms of our parent involvement, PTO, they have done a wonderful job in the turnaround from the mess that had been created, and to the point where they're thinking about giving classes money this year. Originally, we were looking at not being able to do that because there was some stuff that we had to take care of. So our parents are coming back, a PTO. It isn't just 2 or 3 parents for a PTO. Well, it's now, you know, 10, 12. Okay, and we have an skateboard. A lot of our sports programs are parent volunteer led. And again, and that's also the other part that's been really nice as well too. Sports-wise, basketball, volleyball, we have, you know, at least a half dozen per side. Okay. In terms of development for staff, you know, the use of our Common Core. But what's been really good too is this year we've implemented half-day planning collaboration, so that it really allows teachers at their grade levels to focus and to support them, whether it's in mathematics or in language development. And that's it.
Questions? Don't fall asleep. Okay. Any questions up here? Saying none. Thank you very much for your presentation. And what's next? Common Core. Yes, ma'am. Oh, you have the podium.
Yes, Lord. Sorry. Oh.
Good evening.
Thank you.
Superintendent, trustees, audience, I always get to come to you at the end. But I talk fast and I have energy. I am here just to give you your monthly Common Core update on what's going on in the district. Right now, we're 3 meetings down in our math adoption. They've really been wonderful. February 26th, which is this Thursday, if any of you have free time, we have our 3rd through 5th grade committee with also some parents participating, meeting at MCOE to review the math materials that are available for adoption. We've had 2 amazing days where hardworking teams of teachers. So far, I'd say there were 30, I'd say about 45 teachers have been involved. It's been really good. And they're very, very much focused on looking at materials, not on how cute the illustrations are or if they come with a little pulley cart where you can put your materials, but the quality and the rigor of the instruction. They're really doing an amazing job. Virginia is actually going to speak a little bit. She's getting ready to start a round of professional development on smarter bound assessments in the digital library. Sorry. And at the last meeting, Virginia wasn't here to talk about the SBAC assessment, but the assessment system of the interim and the formative resources, but on the digital library training, this is your training outline, this is some of the elements that you'll be going over.
Yes, so good evening, Virginia. So what I'm going to start doing is, last year what I did is I went around to all the sites and we did, I did some staff development on the Smarter Balance where I took teachers hands-on and took the test, and I taught them about, and we looked at to see over the different levels, what was the test look like. Well, I will be doing the same thing this year with the new digital library for teachers. So what it is, it's an online program that has actually a lot of resources for teachers, and it has some of the assessments on there that are also from the Smarter Balance. So there's some interim that is supposed to help with the formative assessment breakdown as to help teachers to help refine instruction. So basically, that's what I'll be going around to some of the sites after school and kind of doing hands-on, because I think that's the way we all learn better, is just going in there and looking at what the digital library, it's new to all of us, so we're all going to be learning this together.
So we'll have 4 separate trainings at different schools around the district after school that teachers are invited to, and they will be compensated for attending should they have that time. At the last meeting, I mentioned that I really think in terms of planning for next year, the time has come to talk seriously about bringing in a network of district coaches. I included in your packet also the job descriptions from AMAO Union and MPUSD on what their academic coaches do. Really what these folks would be is fully focused on Common Core implementation, specifically assisting teachers not only with the new materials and the new adoption, but making sure that the 8 mathematical practices of the Common Core are alive in every classroom, every day, that the language arts shifts, and we will be targeting 3 of them next year that I'll go through in a minute. That those are all very much alive. And then another thing that's really important is assisting teachers to develop those formative assessments that help inform instruction and how they're monitoring students' practice. This team would also be working together to develop resources for teachers. One of the things that I've heard from teachers is that they want district-wide formative assessments. We do have some that are available on ORS, and now we're going to be having some from the digital library, but we really need teachers, the boots on the ground in the classrooms, working with teachers, doing the demonstration lessons, co-teaching, modeling, conferencing, freeing them up to go watch a peer, taking their class and subbing it so they can go watch somebody else do a lesson. And also working with them on lesson design. A lot of this would be done with grade level sub-release time, as the school sites have been talking about too. But this would be funded not by school site money, but by the district supplemental concentration funds. We have preliminary indications that we are getting a big boost next year of $2 to $3 million. So there will be funding for very large activities that need to go straight into assisting our teachers to provide the best classroom instruction that is possible. But we also do need to really think seriously about bringing back the program director of curriculum job. That position was frozen 12 years ago. I think now with Common Core, we absolutely, my recommendation is that we have a dedicated administrator that's what they do. They do Common Core. They do overseeing professional development, working with instructional technology to see that the 21st century learning is being integrated into instruction every day in our classrooms. They also need to work with assessment on the formative assessment, but also on accountability, using the data. And that is something that I think we definitely need to start a discussion.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead. Ms. Rodriguez, go ahead.
These Common Core academic coaches, are you...
If you look at our sites, we have some sites like Sherwood, they have 33 teachers.
Yeah.
And projected for next year. And then we have Monterey Park that has 18. So obviously there would have to be some sort of formula where some sites would definitely have a full-time person, and then other sites might split a coach. But I would anticipate that or if the money is available, another thing you could do is put, use 20 teachers as your baseline with one person there as a coach